Well, hey, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning. How many of you have open positions right now you're trying to hire for? So many jobs, right? I am Vice President of HR for TruStile Doors. We manufacture custom interior doors. So our customer may be the same as your customer, custom builder, architect, interior designer. And we don't make a door until someone orders it. So we have about 350 people here in the Denver market, and we have 120-ish people in rural Iowa making wood doors out there. We make MDF doors here. So probably a similar workforce to yours. I think we're all wondering, like, what is up with these people? I can't find them, they don't want my compelling job, and then when I hire them, they don't stay. Does that sound familiar? So you've seen the news, right? It's everywhere, this middle skills job gap. It crosses the aisle. This is a bipartisan issue. This isn't one industry. This isn't a manufacturing problem. This isn't a call center problem. This is everywhere where there is a job that doesn't require a college degree, but has some technical aspect to it. So does that sound like your jobs? Yeah. And literally it's everywhere. There are states doing interesting work in this space. Colorado is one of them. We'll talk a little bit about that. But it's everywhere in the news, and you're feeling it as much as my organization is feeling it. So statistically, there are 6.9 million middle-skilled jobs open in this country. That is a scary number. Wait, I just misquoted the stat. It's not that scary, but it's pretty scary. 6.9 million jobs open across the country. The 48% that you see in this graph of middle-skilled jobs equals 3,312,000 jobs. Still a scary number. And here's the interesting part is we have these high-skill jobs, but in excess of high-skill workers. We have middle-skill jobs with a shortage of middle-skill workers, and we have low-skill jobs with an excess of low-skill workers. So as middle-skill employers, how do we take advantage of these excesses where there's a shortage in the middle, right? There is a way to do that. So how did we get here? How did we wind up in a place where we have these compelling jobs that can earn a good living, but we don't have the people? I was raised by a high school guidance counselor in central Pennsylvania, go Steelers, and I had a house on the Jersey Shore, exit 10, Stone Harbor. So high school guidance counselors' success is literally measured by the percentage of students that matriculate to a 4-year university. That's how their success is measured. So your jobs are not in their frame of reference. First of all, they've been guidance counselors their entire career, most of them, and so they don't even know what you do. I have like this much understanding of what you do. And so that is a challenge. The other challenge for guidance counselors is their student load is too heavy. Most guidance counselors carry anywhere from 400 to 500 students. There's no conceivable way for that person to really understand every student's strengths and weaknesses. So when you carry 400 students, guess what happens? I am focusing here. Right? I'm focused on the students that have home issues, that are really struggling, that are in terrible situations, failing out, dropping out. I'm focusing down here, and I'm focusing up here on my really stellar students, getting them as much scholarship dollars as I can. So your talent that sits in the middle, right? The C plus B student that is a solid worker, maybe not headed to college, doesn't know you exist. They don't know what your jobs are. So our next problem is the MBA, right? So we've told all of these kids to go to college. Well, now we all have a college degree. Not that differentiating. So how do I differentiate myself? I go get an MBA. So 42% of college graduates go on to get a graduate degree. even that number is not all that compelling, right? So is an MBA even that differentiating? So HR is at fault, hiring managers are at fault. If a preponderance of people in the population have a college degree, I may as well require it, right? Why would I not want that smarticle particle working for me versus someone without a college degree? So we've inflated jobs, we've inflated the college degree by requiring it for jobs that it's probably not required for, right? I would argue that my job does not require a college degree. I have a degree in liberal arts. I can talk to you all day long about philosophy and art history and basket making and all those like wonderful things you get with a liberal arts degree, but I knew nothing about HR. I learned on the job. Nothing teaches you about HR until you are at work and crazy human stuff happens, right? And every time you think like, well, I have seen it all now, you have not. And so then the recession hits, right? The recession hits, you have people out of work, and what did they do? They went back to school. So now we have even more people with a college degree. So economy comes back, I have a college degree, I want that kind of work. So all of these factors have led us, I believe, to where we are. Well, that's fantastic, Kathleen, but what do we do about it? You're aware that the problem exists. Anybody from Charlotte? Yeah, okay, so there's a program in Charlotte called Apprenticeship 2000. Have you heard of it? Yeah, so there's a really awesome, it's been around since 1995, a group of like 6 employers got together and started talking about, we can't find people. I don't see young people entering my organization, and I see my workforce aging, right? Without new people entering, what happens? Everybody retires, I have no workforce. And so they partnered with their local high schools and their local community colleges to build an apprenticeship around mechatronic technicians, which is a combination of mechanical and electrical, not engineering, but technical work, as well as CNC operators, CAD programmers, and production technicians. That program's been around forever. It's super successful. They have this constant pipeline because they engage the school. The school knows who they are. They understand what those jobs are and that they are compelling jobs with growth potential. So you have the opportunity to engage your high schools and your community colleges. Career and technical education has been around for a long time, but it kind of used to be those kids, right? Who went to Vo-Tech? Anyway, yeah, and you were like separated from all the other kids, right? It's such a weird thing. I'm going to my 30-year high school reunion last year, and there were kids, we're almost 50 now, they're not kids. There were like other people sitting at my table, and they were like, oh, we went to Vo-Tech. And I was really interested in like, what was that like for them? Where did they wind up? Both of them own their own businesses. One owns an auto body shop, and the other one owns a salon, and they're really, really successful. But there's like this stigma that I believe career and technical education is blowing up. And so, career and tech ed wants to know you. They want kids to do internships with you. They want to job shadow you because those students are out there. And I think schools are starting to realize that. Colorado just 2 years ago changed success rates of high school to include matriculation to any kind of post-secondary education. Not 4-year, doesn't have to be community college, but some kind of post-secondary. That could include an apprenticeship with your organization. And then finally, there are multiple nonprofits in your area that want to help you find people. They want to help you put people back to work. My organization works with the Colorado Coalition for the Homeless. We have 3 guys working for us that when they started working for us were living out of their car. We're willing to take a chance on them and teach them how to do our jobs. We have entry-level jobs. You catch the door, you do a quality check, you move it. Then you can move up to sanding. You can move up to belection work, which is really detailed, putting in the molding and that sort of thing. right? And those guys and girls earn a really good living. So you've got to get out in your community and work to find your people. These are some resources in Colorado and across the country. Are these slides going to be available after for these guys? Okay, great. So the Department of Labor has a specific Office of Apprenticeship to help you build an apprenticeship with competencies that they build along the way. There's even dollars that the government will give you to have a working apprenticeship in your organization. Workforce GPS does similar work. Women Back to Work, and where's my other women's thing? I don't remember. But Women Back to Work, tons of women leave the workforce in order to care for parents and care for children. And they have a really hard time getting back in. Yeah? Yeah, that's right. He was saying the state will often have their own Office of Apprenticeship, and through the workforce centers in your area or your own Department of Labor and Employment is a really awesome place to start. Hire Heroes is a veterans organization. Again, there's career and technical education. 100,000 Opportunities is for opportunity youth. So there is an entire population of 18 to 24-year-olds that the world has kind of forgotten about. They've dropped out of high school, maybe they've gotten their GED, homeless situations, bad home life situations, like all kinds of things. And there are opportunity youth organizations across the country. And like, what an amazing opportunity to hire someone that kind of the world has forgotten about. And they don't know how to find their way, and they need a job. And a job like yours would be amazing. Reach Hire is also empowering women. Skillful, I really encourage you to go to Skillful's website. So this is a nonprofit that is working to remove education and experience requirements from job postings, and then also build pathways within organizations to grow a career that is based on skill. You have those jobs. And then finally, this is my own little personal secret. I always talk to my Lyft and Uber driver, because guess what? They make the same amount of money driving that they would make working for my organization with healthcare and a 401k match and all of these other things. I carry business cards with me all the time. I've only converted like 2 people, but I always ask them. I engage them in like, why do you drive? What is it that you're looking for? Like, engage them in that conversation. I give them my card and say, call me, we're hiring. You've got to get creative. So that's all well and good, but then they leave, right? I hire them, they stay for X amount of time, and then they leave. So retaining your employees means re-recruiting them every single day. Can't hire them, send them out on the job, and then talk to them like a year later for their performance review, if you even do that, right? So the average turnover across the country is 19%. My organization's turnover is 30%. That's actually pretty good for manufacturing. Many organizations are so much higher. Retail is 110% turnover. Call centers are 82% turnover. So can you imagine, like, you had to replace your entire workforce once a year? That's a nightmare to me. It costs an average of $4,000 to replace someone. That's the cost of the posting, your time to interview, the time that they're unproductive, the time for someone else in your organization to train them, etc. Could be more expensive depending on the job. And at about day 43, I decide whether I'm going to stay or go. Because guess what? I don't stop looking for a job just because I started working for you. I've got other things in the fire. So I'm deciding about that time as I'm like getting up to speed, is this a place I want to stay? So making those first 100 days meaningful is everything, because that's when it gets sticky, right? That's when people decide they're going to stick with you. So how do I keep them? The good news is we can stop talking about millennials because Gen Z is here. You are leaving Harry Potterville and you are entering the Hunger Games, right? We've gone from this like fantasy land, to think about the movies that this generation has watched, right? They've watched The Hunger Games, they've watched Maze Runner. It's a very that's their space. But what's interesting about Gen Z, and right, I'm making generalizations. I really don't like to talk about generations, but it is a thing, because you're lumping people together, which HR people are against. Gen Z was raised by their cynical Gen X parents, right? So we're away from this helicoptering, I want everything to be perfect, right? We have this cynical Gen X generation raising these kids that are I'm not gonna go talk to your teacher, you go talk to your teacher. Go figure your shit out, right? So they're very realistic, they're really hardworking. I'm biased because I have a 17-year-old, but that's how she is, right? She does her stuff, she gets her stuff done, she owns her work. She's certainly not perfect, her room is a swamp, but she's really hardworking. And I think that is what we will find with this next generation, because every generation heals the one that comes behind them in whatever way. So what can you do to engage any generation, anybody? And again, invest in that first 100 days. It's so critical that you are sitting down with people every other week. I know you're busy, but it matters. People actually want to know how they're doing. Course correct me early so that then I can be successful. Provide a career path. Let me know how I can grow here. How can I earn more money? How can I continue to grow my skills and contribute in a different way, which guess what feeds you and serves you as well? That just-in-time feedback. Do it immediately. Bonus and profit sharing, if you can do that, goes a long way. It doesn't have to be a ton of money, but that engages me. I want to know how my work matters to this organization. And then there's this thing called the stay interview. 3 simple questions. Why do you stay? What would you leave for? And what should we be doing differently? That's it. 3 little questions. It's not a promise that you're going to do anything, but you could get amazing ideas from your own people about how to make your business better. And those little things really matter. That's what I got for you. Thanks.